40 to 30. The snap is down. The kick is up, and it's good.
You're listening to The Extra Point, hosted by Phil Ruskin. Welcome.
What it is, what it do. It is draft week. Kendall, cheers, my friend. Happy holidays.
Hey. Salud.
Cheers. You know, I saw this thing earlier this week. It might even have been last week, and it was like, you guys all saw it too, but it was in the feed on Sleeper, and it was like 2 more showers until the NFL draft. And I was like, how many times are you planning to not shower before the NFL draft, bro? It was like a week away. I was like, you're a stinky motherfucker. So yeah, let's not do that. We got a badass show tonight because Kendall and I are going to go back and forth ping pong style and go through a super flex 12 team full PPR mock draft. And it's not tight end premium, but we will talk about the tight ends if it were a premium versus if it were just a regular scoring format. But I think we're going to make this show pretty chill. So jump in with your questions. Ask us anything you want because y'all have about 48 hours before these rookies start hitting some real rosters, hitting some real landing spots. And I'm in one league that is not starting its rookie draft on Sunday. Are you in any leagues, Kendall, where you are actually not starting, or are you in every league? Because I know you're in a ton of my leagues, but like, are you starting all of your drafts on Sunday?
I think all but one.
Yeah.
I think there's just one outlier I can think of. Every one of them, we might have an outstanding vote, but I'm going to whip that vote, buddy. We're starting.
Yeah. I mean, you and I have a best ball league that I think, does it have one spot left? Do we have a spot left in there? I don't know. I'll look it up. We'll figure it out. But we have a best ball league that's going to start in mid-May. I think we've got a guy that's out of the country or on vacation, or I don't remember why we're starting a little bit later, but we're going to start that as a brand new league coming up. But everything else rookie-wise, man, it's Sunday. If you got the 101, you are on the clock. And speaking of on the clock, let's do some stuff.
Let's do some stuff, man.
Let's ping pong, man. We're going to go back and forth here again for those that can't see the screen. If you're not watching on YouTube, if you are listening on Spotify or Patreon, we appreciate you being there. But we are going to go 12 team super flex 3 rounds, and we will figure out, when we get to a spot, if there's a tier break, if there is a positional break, we will discuss if a tight end makes sense at a tight end premium league or if we would go a different direction. Jamie Pirog hanging out in the chat. Love you to see you, man. Appreciate y'all being here. I know there's some other folks. Throw us those trade questions. Throw us those who do I draft questions because it's time to make some decisions. Kendall, there is no decision for me here at the 101. This is about as easy as it's going to get. I'm not going to make any surprises here. Guys, it's simple. Even in a super flex league, Jeremiah Love is the 101. We're going to go through some smoke and fire at the end of the draft. We'll talk about some stuff where the experts have given their predictions, their landing spots. So we're going to talk through that, see if it's legit or bullshit. We missed that segment. But yeah, I'm going to go Jeremiah Love here at the top at the 101. This is an auto pick for me, and it should be for you.
Yep, agreed. So I have to make a pick based on I could go based on like a variety of landing spots. Okay, and I certainly could. I'm just going to give you like my current take on how this goes down. This is particular to this draft class, by the way. I would not do what I'm about to do in other draft classes that were S tier prospects. So just to let you know, there's no blue chippers in this top 3 wide receiver group. In my opinion, there's no neighbors here. These are more Rome BTJ-esque types of players, and possibly even worse, to be honest. So with that being said, I am going to draft normally I draft stability and safety. I think you can get picks infinitely wrong and marginally more correct, right? The way you can graveyard a pick versus getting it a little bit more right is not my thing. But in this case, because of the prospect profiles and tiers, I'm going to draft the only I don't want to say like Jamar Chase or anything, but the super, they could really do it. And I want to take Jordan Tyson.
Jordan Tyson. I love it. I think that's the right decision. I will be honest. If you had not taken Jordan Tyson, I would have taken him next. We always talk about on this show, you draft presuming health. I didn't watch Jordan Tyson's workout last week, but I saw the stuff on Twitter and YouTube. So I've seen the highlights of it, including the backwards spinning catch in the end zone, which was completely ridiculous. It was cool looking, but also ridiculous. You're out there in your shorts and there's no pressure. But I think he's the best player in this draft. So if I'm going to say that, and that's why I would take him, I'm going to go with who I think is the next best wide receiver in this class. I understand landing spot might change some of your opinions, but for me, this is an easy pick here, actually. And it's going to be Mekhi Lemon here at the 103. So Mekhi Lemon off the board. And before we get to your pick, Kendall, Jamie Pirog in the chat, I sent a trade today. I would get the 101, who we all know will be Jeremiah Love. I would give up Tootin, Fannin, and the 108. That is, I'm going to be honest, I don't think that trade gets done. But if that, let's just inverse the question. If that trade was sent to you, I know it wasn't, but let's just say that trade had been sent to him. That is a smash accept and run away all day. So I think you're going to need to add something to that, Jamie, because it's, again, there's noise today. A lot of it's noise. We're going to do a smoke and fire segment, but the noise today is that if Jadarian Price goes in the second round, the Jaguars are going to move up. Kendall, I think you and I both like Tootin, but I don't think either one of us ever thought he would be the guy. I think it's going to be a committee, and I think if they add another guy, and it seems like they could, then it's probably a three-headed monster instead of a two. So
I'm a Tootin guy. I love Tootin, but being the Tootin guy means I have had to check myself in with a little bit of reality, and just ease the copium, right? Successful teams, right, lean on star players less than unsuccessful teams. Unsuccessful teams will just ride who they have, right? The Jags are actually kind of good, right? Phil has been this oracle where he said they were going to be bad when they were bad, and he said, I'm nervous they're going to be good, and I hate that I'm saying that, when they were 2025. So, you and the Jaguars are at a level that I don't ever want to be.
I'm the Jaguar whisperer.
Yeah. That's a shirt that is getting made at some point in time, man. But with that being said, the idea is it makes way more sense for a winning team to balance their attack, right?
Agreed.
Seattle infuriatingly just did that. And I think that's more than likely with Tootin. I believe he's going to be more talented than he is useful to the team in terms of usage. I think he's going to be an amazing per-touch player. Chase Brown, if he had more competition, is kind of how I see Tootin, but having competition is brutal.
Yeah. Jamie in the chat asking, what else can I add for value? Kendall and I are going to get on with this draft, but Jamie, throw us some additional assets that you have, and we'll get to that kind of follow-up part to your question.
We'll hash it out in the Discord or the future paid stream that
we will get to it. Jordan Love. I've really got to stop saying that because Jordan Love's been on my mind a lot today because I am trying to work a deal where he is leaving my team. That would be Jeremiah Love at the 101, Jordan Tyson, and then Mekhi Lemon. Kendall, you're on the clock at the 104. It is a super flex league. Mendoza's on the board. Carnell Tate, the last of the big three. And then I think what we both would agree is the first tier break of this class. So at the 104, where are you going?
Okay, two answers here just for anyone that's watching. I'll be pretty quick. If I am a QB needy team, there's flavors to that, but you know who you are, right? Let's say reasonably needy. Because if I was only a little bit needy, I would have addressed this by now. It's one of my sort of dynasty principles. I don't know. We'll have a segment for this. We'll have it as part of the future draft kit, how to play like your favorite analyst on Get Right Here. But for me, quarterback is really expensive if you don't address it well ahead of time. Get into the cycle. If you know you're going to need it, you're going to have to send 125 messages and try to get there cheaply. Otherwise, you're going to pay a third for someone who will play 2 games. We've all seen the Josh Dobbs fix-its of the world. So if you're a QB needy team, this is a cheap way to get like Brock Purdy light, good intangibles, extremely safe on what's not a well-coached team like Purdy, but there's just a sense of stability and character there that are going to give him an incredible runway and a pretty decent floor. You're going to overpay for a Bryce Young or something otherwise. So stop the value bleed if you're going to go out there and sell your soul for someone you only kind of like. Very first trade I ever made in Dynasty ever was buying Derek Carr for a first. So this tells you I've learned my lesson from my day one in Dynasty. take Mendoza if you need a quarterback to stem the bleed. That being said, give me Carnell Tate, even if he goes to the Browns, which kind of sucks. Give me Tate.
Yep, agreed. I see this exactly the same way you do. I just actually texted a good friend of mine today. He has Jackson Dart. He has Drake May, courtesy of your boy. It was part of a Josh Allen trade, so didn't feel great about it, but you always feel great about it when it's Josh Allen, so kind of 50-50 in that one.
Third.
He has the 102. He has the 104. I think he's going to have to take Mendoza at the 102 because the guy at the 103 will take him if he doesn't, so he won't get him to the 104. That being said, is one of my good buddies. I texted him and I said Mendoza shouldn't go before the 105. He's a QB2. We've talked about that ad nauseum on this show. He'll have to have an outlier touchdown season. He'll have to have an outlier yardage season to get in the top 12. It will happen a couple of times in his career.
Good for him is worse than Sam Darnold's 2025.
And this is like Jordan Love, QB5. I don't think Jordan Love ever has another QB1 season unless he has an outlier touchdown season. So I think Mendoza is the 105 here. That's what I'm going to do. This is a super flex draft, so I'm going to take Mendoza. This is how in super flex, this is how the first 5 picks are going to go in your draft on Sunday, guys. That's exactly what's going to happen. The order might change for the receivers based on landing spot. Mendoza, like Kendall saying, might go a little bit earlier. But if you're at the 106, expect these 5 names to be gone, and this is the first tier break. So Kendall, knowing it's the first tier break, you're on the clock here at the 106. I know you and I both like KC Concepcion. Omar Cooper's getting a lot of steam. I know you're not a Sadiq guy,
Yep,
but if you were, take your bias out for a second. Would you consider Sadiq here if you needed a tight end and if you believe in him, or are you still thinking that Concepcion or Cooper has the higher ceiling and that's where you're going to lean here at the 106?
If David Njoku was my tight end 1, I still wouldn't take Sadiq here.
Okay, there you go. I wouldn't either. All right, so let's go. 106, who you got?
Give me Casey.
Yep.
I like Casey. I'm not sure where he goes. I would love him to the Dolphins.
Yeah,
I think he has a wide variety of landing spots. Also, I mean, I don't dislike Omar Cooper. Look, I'm an IU guy, guys. I don't sound like an IU guy because I have been like tempering expectations on Mendoza. I was the first one to say Omar Cooper's popular everywhere, so like I guess he's off my draft board because this tier of wide receiver class that's being overhyped, like just get me out of there. I like Omar Cooper. I think there's a lot of great spots for him. But I like the intangibles of Casey quite a bit, and I like a lot of his landing spots. I think he can go in a lot of places. He could be great for the Browns. He could be amazing with the Dolphins. There are even some later landing spots that are crazy. If this goes really defensive favored with some trades and some of these outside the top 3 wide receivers go a little bit later, there's some opportunities for really great landing spots that I could get excited about. So I just like Casey. The drops are a little concerning. I mean, anyone who studies his prospect profile should know that.
Yep.
His hands are not as good as you want to see. I like my guys to be hands catchers, ball catchers. He's more of a grasp and kind of do it, which worries me a little bit at the NFL level, but everything else is great. He's a real separator, which I'm not seeing at the NFL level from a lot of draft prospects. And I want separation. I think they'll figure out the rest. Give me Casey.
I'm on the clock at the 107. I have and always have been a big Devonta Smith truther. So I'm going to take the newest Philadelphia Eagle, Omar Cooper Jr.
I
here
love that.
at the 107. He is not going at 16 to the Jets. Howie is not going to have to trade up too far to get him. He might not have to trade up at all. Omar Cooper to the Philadelphia Eagles alongside my boy Devonta Smith as their soon-to-be wide receiver 2 to replace A.J. Brown. Omar Cooper off the board at the 107. So now, and I think we would all agree, this is the second tier break in the first round. If you are a Sadiq truther and you want to have Sadiq in here, that's fine. I think Kendall and I are both going to say that we have him in a different tier. I do have Sadiq in a tier by himself. I have Mendoza in a tier by himself because I do think because of the 1Z positions, they kind of deserve to be in tiers by themselves. So now's where if you're at the 108, I truly think that you're making the first decision of the draft. I think the first 7 picks are going to go like this. Sure, in some of your leagues, Sadiq will go. So let's say that the 109 is the real decision point, but the 108, 109 is the first true decision point. And if that's where you are, right? So now we're talking about the teams that are close to the playoffs, because unless you traded to acquire a pick, right? Most of the teams drafting this late are playoff teams again, or you traded, CeeDee Lamb away and got 2 firsts, and the team that got CeeDee Lamb, you got there later first. my point being is you're probably not having to make too hard of a decision at the 6 or at the 107 because you're just kind of saying, do I like Cooper better or do I like Concepcion better, unless you are a Sadiq truther. So at the 108, Kendall, Kenyon Sadiq, Denzel Boston, Eli Stowers, Ty Simpson, or the RB2 in this class. Where do you lean here at the 108? You are on the clock, sir.
Yeah, so this is tough. This is where like my head goes in two different directions. Okay, there is if the NFL says Sadiq's draft capital is what it is and it's the right landing spot, right? For me, like in the first round, 1 to 2 spots is still a big difference. Like I want to be clear, I'm out on Sadiq, but I might have to be in on him here because I don't love Denzel Boston's profile, in my opinion. It's not my favorite. And even if you put him on the Bills, I'm not the biggest fan.
Yeah,
I think Jadarian Price could be this year's Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but worse, except Clyde Edwards-Helaire can catch passes. And I'm really worried that this is a massive overpay for a Jadarian Price, who I don't love the experience level. In my opinion, running back should be good right away, but I don't want to take any. This is the like, do you want to take Jonathan Brooks, Trey Benson too early? This feels like it. It feels like a mistake. At least tight end in the modern NFL is more valuable. There's a lot of 2 tight end schemes. They get on the field, they have a higher snap share. The tight end caught the touchdown, schemed plays in the red zone. It's there. So because the tight end position is more valuable than it used to, and I think Sadiq has a better landing spot, I'm probably okay taking Sadiq here. I can't take Stowers over him, even if I want to. It doesn't seem NFL draft capital appropriate. I'm not taking Price, and I think I have to plant my flag between: am I taking Sadiq or am I taking Boston? We don't love any of these profiles, but if you have to pick and stick because your league's sharp and they're not buying these picks outside of 70 cents on the dollar, you have to take somebody. I think the chance that Sadiq could grow into a good role, safe floor with some ceiling. I'm not betting on the ceiling, but I think he'll be the most useful role player on a team compared to where I have the rest of these. I'm going to take Sadiq here. It still feels early to me, but they're all going to. Let's just take our copium and take the highest draft capital player, in my opinion. I think he will go in the draft before Denzel Boston does, and so I'm just going to lean on the NFL.
I think if you're at the 105 in a super flex league, you're on auto pick. You're just taking the last of whatever the big 3 wide receivers is left over because someone is going to take Mendoza before the 105. It's just we just know it's going to happen. Whether he should or shouldn't go there doesn't matter. That's what we did tonight because that's where we believe ceiling-wise, Tyson, Lemon, and Tate have a higher ceiling and are probably more impactful long-term for your team than Mendoza is. But I understand the reasons why. And in Superflex, everyone gets the Superflex fee. I got to get a quarterback. You don't. Right? I won a championship 3 years ago with Jarrett fucking Stidham. It can be done. It's not sexy, but it can be done. My point in saying the 105 is I think if you're at the 109, this is the second auto pick of this draft. I think you take Boston here. I don't think there's really an option. I think at the end of the day, you and I both agree that what he did in college probably doesn't translate super well to the NFL. He's big, he's strong, but that's the NFL. Everyone's big and strong. He catches, he's a kind of the bully ball, they call it. Well, cornerbacks are a whole lot better. So at the end of the day, I still think he has a higher ceiling, certainly, than any of these other receivers that are left. I'm struggling with Jadarian Price, and now, again, smoke or fire. If you believe the Sea Chickens are going to trade out of the 32nd pick, the last pick of the first round, if you believe that is fire, then Jadarian Price is no longer your RB2 unless he's going super early. But if you pull up the draft, and I'll pull it in a second, but we know off the bat it's the Cardinals, the Jets, and the Raiders at the top of the second round, and I don't see any of them taking a running back. Certainly not the Raiders or the Jets.
Dude,
so
I don't think there's a running back taken in the first 40 picks. That's my spicy prediction.
Well, here's the reality. Love doesn't count. The reason we're doing Smoker Fire tonight isn't because Kendall and I made it up. We're taking legitimate Peter Schrager, guys from NFL.com. It's their takes. Daniel Jeremiah, Bucky Brooks. That's where I've pulled the Smoker Fire segment from, is what they believe. So listen to this. This is the top of the second round. The Jets, Brees. The Cardinals, possibly Love. So he could go there, price. The Titans, maybe if they don't pull the trigger on Love. The Raiders, nope. The Giants, heavily linked to Love right now. Texans, maybe, but they just signed Monty. The Browns, Judkins. Chiefs just signed Walker. I think it's very realistic that Price, if he doesn't go, could go to the Bengals at 41.
Yep, that's why I'm glad you said that, because my call is that based on that. I think he goes outside 40, but I think he could go 41 to the Bengals.
So I'm just going to go ahead and take who I think is the best draft capital and the best receiver that's left on the board as an auto pick here at the 109, Denzel Boston, and let's move on. So this is the third tier break now. And so now, Kendall, I pose this question to you. If you're a tight end needy team, are you taking Stowers? If you're a quarterback needy team in Superflex, is this where you would consider Ty Simpson? Otherwise, I think there's one receiver here, two receivers I really like. One is way too early to go. He shouldn't go here. And then it's running back time. So you're at the 110. Where are you leaning? Where are you headed here?
Easy pick for me. Guys, this has some elements of analytics in it. This is not just a full homer pick, and you already know where I'm going with this, I think, one. But he's my tight end one in the class.
Yeah, I'm just going to put him on the board.
I'm easily going Stowers here for sure. I think Price is just it's just the wrong pick. It's running backs are in, but he's not the prospect pedigree that you should be taking with this pick. I'm going to go with the safer pass catcher. He could be. There's a lot of elements of tight end is blah, but he's a converted quarterback, which means he's very cerebral. He's going to be a coach's best friend, film guy. I mean, culturally, everything is there, dude. I mean, he's like,
he went to VanDerBilt. Smart kids go to VanDerBilt.
If there was ever a custom character creation in fantasy, they made my favorite tight end in the class a VanDerBilt guy. All right. That is, look at the screen right now. Okay. Like, yeah, he's my guy. So I think that's easy. I think there's a lot of stability. He's my Gadsden of this year. So I'm pretty good there. You can go a few different directions, but if there's even reasonable landing spot there, I'm really into Stowers.
All right. I'm at the 111 here. Let me give you, I'm not going to, we are going to do some of this with Smoke and Fire in a little bit, but let me give you this because I do want to talk this out because Smoke and Fire will go really quickly here at the end of the show. Let's say Thursday night. I almost said tomorrow night because I'm just so damn excited. It is a holiday on Thursday. If you all are not experiencing it as a holiday, then you don't need to be listening to this show. Dynasty,
come hang out with us.
For you. Yeah,
you will treat it as a holiday. Even
it is a holiday.
4-year-old and my 2-year-old know that it's a holiday. Man,
it's
they
a holiday.
Are about it. I am so proud.
So let's say that Ty Simpson doesn't go in the first round.
Okay,
reasonable. There is a chance then that there is mock drafts where he doesn't. Let's say that Ty Simpson goes to the Jets or the Cardinals at the top of the second. And let's say that Elijah Surratt, because there is a lot of smoke now around Denzel Boston or Elijah Surratt going at 36, the top of the second round to the Raiders. And there's a real thought that Boston winds up at the end of the first to the Bills. And that Surratt would be a great pairing with Mendoza here at 36 at the top of the second round.
Yep.
Would you take Ty Simpson or would you pull the trigger on Elijah Surratt, knowing that there's a lot of targets available for everyone not named Bowers in, I almost said Oakland, in Las Vegas, and Surratt has the rapport with Mendoza? I know what I would do. I know what I'm about to do. I just want to get your take on this real quick. Good landing spot for Surratt. Doesn't have to be the Raiders, but good landing spot for Surratt or Ty Simpson to the Jets or Cardinals, specifically those two teams, because I've said this on the show before, and I'll say it again so that those who haven't listened to previous episodes will hear me say it for the first time. I think if Simpson goes to the Jets or the Cardinals, it's a death sentence for him because they will be drafting in the top 3, top 4 of the draft next year, and they will be taking their quarterback of the future, and Simpson will become a depth player, excellent backup, you know, a guy that you love on your team that does all the right things, but he's just not fantasy relevant. I'm not talking about the real NFL. I'm talking about the game that we all are trying to score points and win money in. So I would take Surratt personally. Kendall, are you in agreement with that, or do you have a Ty Simpson take here? Because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take Surratt here at the 111, presuming he's in a great landing spot, because I don't believe that Ty Simpson is going to be a starter in 2027 in the NFL And when I say that, I don't mean that he's not going to start games. Injuries happen. He could get traded. There's a million things that could happen. I don't think a team believes that they are drafting him this season to be their QB of the future. Man, I can't.
Yeah, look, I'll be brief. I don't want to be like the longest take on this. My head goes in two directions. Okay, I don't even think on like a hit outcome. Surratt is such a low ceiling player that if you're shooting for upside, it's Simpson not close, but it's only because Surratt has such a capped ceiling for his talent level. However, I think Surratt has really good coaching. He has a lot of intangibles. I just think he's a guy that can grow into like a Jacoby Myers-esque sort of just like a guy that just actually catches an above average amount of balls, does his job well, and is never great, but is just like consistently good. And that is underwhelming for the 112, right? That's not who you're hoping to draft, but I do think there's a level of consistency. I think he does a lot of things well. And if I'm in a situation where that's valuable to me, like that's useful, like flex 2, I'm going to take Surratt there just to say, hey, this is for sure locked in, unexciting, but I'm going to do it. If I don't think I can use him, or let me be more clear, if I don't think I'm like winning like at all, if I'm like not contending, then I'm going to go the quarterback, because all I'm looking for are buy-sell windows for the entirety of 2026 for a winning, productive struggle in 2027. So if I am not looking to win, but I'm looking to wheel and deal and facilitate, in that case, I'm looking for timing. I'm not looking for longevity. I'm looking for timing to trade. I'm going to take the quarterback because they have that quarterback tax of, well, they're worst at least. They're a third plus because they're a quarterback, but what if they actually kind of hit? I think you can sell in a timing window Simpson for more than Surratt in 2026 if you're patient. But if you're a contending team, I think Simpson is so far off of your, even if he starts a game, are you starting him? He's a wait and see through most of 2026. So if you're a contender, he's a tradable asset, not a starting piece. And I think you're going to be flipping him for Surratt in some cases, right? So know your team composition and know what game you're playing. If you're playing the wheel and deal facilitator game, take Simpson because he's a more interesting chess piece. If you're playing to win the game, take Surratt because he's a useful flex.
Let me ask you this. What would you reasonably accept if you are the JJ McCarthy owner right now and you are just trying to cut bait? What would you take? It's certainly not a first-round pick. So where in the second round, what second-round pick would you give up? Or let me rephrase, what second-round pick?
27 second-round pick. It's the only answer.
Okay, so there you go.
I wouldn't take the 201 to save my life.
Right, of course not.
For McCarthy.
But I think there are people out there who are like, oh, well, McCarthy's still worth an early second. He's not. McCarthy's not worth an early second. McCarthy is on the shelf for a season unless Kyler gets hurt. And I don't see a world where he's on the Vikings next year if Kyler has a good season. And I certainly don't see a world where he wins the job. So you have to have another NFL team believe that JJ McCarthy is the guy. And, oh, I forgot. What's happening next year, Kendall? There are 8 quarterbacks coming out, of which 4 of them are going to be in the first round. And they're already talking about 3 of them going 1, 2, and 3 in the draft. So, no, I don't see a world where J.J. McCarthy is somebody's 27 starter. And if Ty Simpson goes to a place where he's going to be overdrafted next year, not overdrafted by the market, drafted over by the team, I'd rather have Surratt, who probably is a wide receiver 3/flex for my team, who's going to score me 8 to 14 points a week if he catches a touchdown. Maybe it's a lower floor, 6 to 14 points, than Ty Simpson, who I'm hoping develops. I get it. I see a world where Simpson is going to be valuable, like you said, in the timing window. He is the most intriguing prospect for me on Thursday or early on Friday to see where he lands, because if it's the Jets or the Cardinals, I think I'm out. And if it's somewhere else, if it's Pittsburgh, it's
maybe the
Cleveland,
Rams,
if it's the Rams, then that changes my opinion. But let's not spend. We're not even through the first round. We got 24 more picks to go. But
I think the next couple picks are probably going to go faster.
These should go pretty quick. Yeah. So, all right. So where are you at with the 112 here? We do not have the RB2 off the board. We just spent 7 minutes on Ty Simpson. And then we've got our tier probably 4 wide receiver class guys available here.
So we got Price versus Ty here. This is simple. I'm never like Ty Simpson, like I just mentioned, is not useful outside of he is a interesting trade piece. Price is a more interesting trade piece. Running backs are more productive when they get out there. I'm going to take Price. I'm dogging on him, right? But at the end of the day, we're all dogging on him. But every one of us can get excited about a Brooks or a Benson. I have fallen into that trap. I'm not immune. I drink just like the rest of you guys. So, yeah, give me Price there, and I will look to trade at some point.
So we're at the 201 here. It seems silly that we just spent 7 minutes talking about a player that's probably going to go off the board 2 picks later.
Yeah,
but
right?
it's a super flex league. And this is a tier break. And I'll say this is why it's silly, because it's 2 picks later. Because I hate these running backs. If it's not Love and if it's not Price in a great spot, I'll be honest, I really don't want much to do with it. So I will take Simpson here at the 201. And it's a super flex league. And I'll hope and pray and close my eyes that I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong about every player that gets drafted, because I want these kids to realize their dream and their future and make them, $300 million and have a great career and win Super Bowls and MVPs. We know that's not going to happen. We know that there's guys here that we are absolutely not going to be talking about in some of them 3 years at all. That's just the reality of every single draft, including some of these first round guys. So you're on the clock at the 202. Ty Simpson is off the board. Jadarian Price is off the board. We are now into, I hate to say it, but I feel like it's almost already call your shot time.
We're in call your shot.
It's this early in the draft, and it's already
right
call your shot. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, give me Zachariah Branch.
Yeah, Zachariah Branch. And away we go. Did he just
Returning,
get
I'll give you 15 seconds on him. You can start a timer. He is an excellent returner that is indicative of success at the second level. That is much more important to the modern NFL now that returns have changed. Look at what Chimere Dike just did. And I think that's spinning him into something. So, yeah, he's got a lot of problems. Everyone's going to have that from this point on. I'm going to stop saying it. I'm going to say it once or twice and catch myself. But I just truly don't believe in these running backs outside of, oops, injury happened. But long term, they're not the guys, okay? I drafted Cook in the second, okay? I know he's kind of fading a little bit, but who was just Bucky's backup over here? Not Gainwell. Who am I thinking of? Rashad White. Rashad White and Cook were both second-round backs. I drafted a ton of them in that class. These ain't them when it comes to prospect caliber. So I'd rather take a shot at like a Christian Watson, a type of upside here, than I'm going to do I guess I'll just take the running back. I would rather take the Katron Allens of the world later on at running back, since it's all, oops, the guy ahead of them screwed up. That's how it's going to be for every single one of these running backs, in my opinion, opportunistic versus talent. So I'm going to take I think is a 5-star prospect. So I'm going to lean here on guys that I think have significant upside with better floors due to some analytics. So I got a couple guys here.
That was a long 15 seconds.
Yeah, that was like a minute.
I was like a minute and a half.
You give me 4 seconds on the next.
I'm giving you the timer. Zachariah Branch, just be careful of the arrest this week. So please make sure that you pay attention to where he goes in the draft. I don't disagree with what you said, Kendall, from a talent perspective. We all know that some guys get in trouble before the draft. Some of it impacts them. Some guys it doesn't impact.
Branch is my Rashee Rice. That's the comp I forgot to get out there. He's going to be an absolute knucklehead, but he's probably going to be pretty good in the football field.
Well, I'm going to take a player that I think is a year away, but I'm willing to risk it here for a year away because I think the upside is there. And if he wasn't injured, I think I think we would have been talking about him much earlier. Give me Chris Ring the Door Bell.
Yeah.
204.
He's my guy. Yeah. I think Branch and Bell are like, I'm not going to tell anybody.
Every year, Kendall knows this because he's done fantasy and dynasty with me for years and shows with me for years. But every year there is a guy in the second round that I'm like, yep, I'm going to wind up with a lot of him on my rosters. Last year it was Jaden Higgins. This year I think it's Chris Bell. So I am willing to wait because it's going to be slow. It is going to be painful. And honestly, I don't care. because I think when he gets healthy, he's going to be good. And if there's a team that believes that he is going to be good when he's healthy and gives him that shot, and there is a path to playing time, Buffalo in the 3rd round, that's where I'm getting real excited about Chris Bell. All right, 204. Who you got?
It's between 3: running back, Brazel, or Jeremy. At this particular point, Brazel he was a worse prospect than Branch was early on, so that's kind of my tiebreaker. And I know that Brazel's Tennessee, isn't he? Right? I think a lot of Tennessee
It's
guys
the
are
gadget
like,
team, Tennessee.
they're really saying, no, I promise he's not like every other gadget guy.
He is.
Yeah, I mean, that might even be true, but still I'm not into it. So I'm going to take one of the running backs. I'm just going to take the guy I believed in mostly in the draft scouting process because of his pass catching. I'm not dead on Jonah Coleman, so I'm going to take him here.
Okay. I am going to take the player that I thought you were about to take because I love his pass catching, and I don't think it's going to be a great – I mean, it could be a great landing spot. I don't think it's going to be great draft capital, but I do think he is one of those players that because he catches the ball, his upside is going to be higher in this class than the other running backs. I'm going to take Emmett Johnson and hope that he lands in a good spot.
Like that. We'll just keep it rolling with the upside running backs at this particular point. Brazel and Jeremy are getting close, but I'll take Washington as if he gets a bad landing spot, I'm out on him, but we're going to take Washington while there's something going on there.
I am going to stick with my rankings here, and I am going to wait one more pick and hope that he gets back to me because I think that he will. I'm going to take Jeremy here because I believe that Alabama carries some weight. He's a deep threat guy. I've heard him compared to MVS Light, which I think is just the world's worst comp.
Yeah.
The world's worst comp. But my brain is blanking, Kendall. Please help me out. The player that was in New Orleans that is now in Seattle, the deep threat. Why is my brain blanking on it?
The returner.
He just got paid.
Oh, man. He's on half of my teams, too. This is so bad. He's on so many of my rosters.
It's going to drive me crazy. His Rashid Shaheed. I think Jeremy Bernard profiles as a Rashid Shaheed light, if that makes you feel better than an MVS light. So give me Jeremy Bernard here from Alabama at the 207, which puts you on the clock at the 208.
All right. This is between Brazel and Jacoby Lane. I've been saying I'm going to get away from Brazel's type of profile and Tennessee's profile, but you saw me take Zechariah at the 2-2. Here, I actually think there's a tier break in talent. I'm going to take the X wide receiver that can become something. I'm going to go Jacoby Lane.
And he did not get back to me. So if I'm on the clock, in all honesty, if this is not a ping pong draft, I would have taken Jacoby Lane at the 207 there ahead of Jeremy Bernard. But because Kendall and I are just going back and forth and I have every other pick, no big deal. Like I said, should have stuck my rankings. Not a big deal. I'm in a real struggle point here because I just don't see a huge difference in these running backs. I don't love the wide receivers in this range. I'm probably going to take Nicholas Singleton here. But I'll be honest, if Garrett Nussmeier lands in Dallas.
We're getting close to that level, huh?
Yep. If he lands it's a super flex league. So if he lands in Dallas, if he lands in Pittsburgh, if he lands in a spot, the Jets, obviously the Cardinals, I think that's really bad. Obviously, we talked about that with Ty Simpson. But I think he's in consideration for me at this range. I'm not going to take him here because I just think it's too early. And like I said, he profiles as a backup. So I'm going to take Singleton if I need a running back. If I need a wide receiver, I would take Brazel here. So I'm for the purpose of the exercise, everyone needs running backs. So I'll just take Singleton. And look, I obviously grew up in Gainesville, Florida. I'm a Florida fan. It's not because I hate Tennessee as my bias. I just don't see a world where any Tennessee wide receiver is really translated in the last couple of years to the NFL because it's a gadget scheme. So Chris Brazel, Kendall, we talked about this a couple minutes ago. In every single draft in the second round, I wind up saying there's going to be a guy that I have a lot of on percentage shares on my rosters. And there's always a guy that I'm okay being wrong on. And I think Chris Brazel is my I'm okay being wrong on guy.
Yeah. No, I got to choose between him. Malachi Fields really got steamed up a little bit, man.
Malachi Fields is starting to cool off.
Look, there's a difference. Brazel is that speed guy, but it matters that he's huge too. At this point, I think I got to go Brazel. His physical profile is pretty impressive. In all honesty, he's not some 5'11" guy. So
yeah,
we'll go Brazel here. I'm going to take him. I'm not going to have any of them because ADP is going to have him earlier, but I got to take him at some point.
Yeah, agreed. And I'm not a Malachi Fields guy. I don't believe in Katron Allen. I think Antonio Williams is an interesting prospect. Skylar Bell's an interesting prospect. So I'm going to go a little bit off it was call your shot time here basically at the start of the second round. We're not in love with this class. So I'm going to go with the hype, and I'm going to say that this guy gets the hometown draft capital to the Falcons, and people like him. Give me Ted Hurst here.
Oh, I got sniped massively.
Give me Ted Hurst here. I think he is. I think he's an interesting prospect here. I don't think there's a ceiling case really to be made for any of the players that are on the board at the wide receiver or running back position here this late in the second. So if you're telling me that, you've got Kyle Pitts could be traded. That has been the hot rumor over the last 48 hours, is that Kyle Pitts could be on the block tomorrow. And I'm sorry, I'm so excited. I want it to be tomorrow. Damn it. On Thursday, he could be on the block, which opens up, I don't know it off the top of my head. I didn't have time to do that research before the show, but that opens up X percentage of target share. And there isn't an RB2 right now because Algier is gone, and Bijan, we all love Bijan. He can't catch everything. So there is an opportunity. There is a world where Ted Hurst is a wide receiver 3 for the Falcons. Let's just say the Falcons, but he has a path if he lands in Atlanta. And I think that is a realistic landing spot for him. Kendall, close out the second round here at the 212.
Max Clare.
That is the right pick.
Yep. I just Fields, Antonio Williams, who has been mocked to the Bears in a couple spots. They are like outside of Brazel, and I would put Hurst a tier above them. They are very experimental, like fun picks that I like for some reason. But for me, this hits no, this is just where I'm going to take the tight ends. This is where I'm always going to take them. It was close at the Brazel and Hurst were the exact two that I'm like, no, I think they're a little different. But for me, it's Claire Trigg time. So I'm just going doing it.
Yeah, I like it. I am going to take Antonio Williams here. It's between him or Skylar Bell. Look, neither of them are great. We're probably talking about a guy that's on my taxi squad here at the top of the third round. And, to be honest, that we're doing this 48 hours before the draft. None of the players we're talking about are getting picked on Thursday. To be honest with you, a lot of the guys we're talking about probably aren't getting picked on Friday. So give me a guy that I think could have a path. Landing spot's going to determine this pick in the real draft. So I'll take Skylar Bell today based off of, the explosion of his senior year here at UConn. And we'll see what you have at the 301.
This follows the example of I like my tight ends in round 3 unless it's a good running back class. So give me Trigg.
Fantastic. I'm glad you did that because my sleeper of this class is Justin Jolie. And
there you go.
That is who I am taking here.
He would have been my.
I think it is the perfect spot to take him. Look, at the end of it all, what we're saying is that you've got guys that probably aren't going to be anything more than taxi squad guys. If they're on the roster, they're on the back end of your roster, and the tight ends take a while to develop. So if I've got, I don't know, pick a tight end that's out. If I've got Jake Ferguson in my tight end 1 spot, and my other 2 tight ends are Hunter Henry, who's probably not going to be around too much longer, and Dallas Goedert, who's not going to be around more than this season, give me Jolie there, and I will move on and hope that by year 2 or year 3 that he is a guy that I can put in some bye weeks, or maybe he becomes the guy. So I'll take him there at the 303.
Okay. I have to just fill in some spots. I mean, there's going to be some ranges of guys. I took guys I like a little bit earlier who are later in ADP. Here, just from like a prospect profile tier list perspective, I think I have to go Malachi Fields or Antonio Williams. I just truly don't believe in the running back talent at this point, to the point where I think there are existing NFL irrelevant players that are better than this caliber. And, sometimes you have the if there's an injury, I'm like, if there's an injury, Michael Carter will start over Katron Allen. It's
Agreed.
that's the level of like, no, dude, I'm not doing it. I will no longer take running backs at this point unless it's pretty obscene. So I'm going to take Antonio Williams here. Don't love it, but I think it's probably the right pick.
Yep, I think that's fine. I'm going to go a little bit of a different direction because we're now getting to the middle of this third round. Sorry, where is Williams? Right in front of my face. I'm going to go on a guy that's a little bit of a sleeper, a little bit of hype, but at 6'2", 210, I'm going to take DeJon Stribling. And
okay.
just
he's gotten some hype in some articles.
He's gotten
recently.
some hype. He's starting to get a little bit of steam as maybe potentially sneaking into the a day 2 pick, that third round. I don't think that happens, but again, it could. And if he gets some draft capital, then I like the size, I like the strength, and it's the third round. I'm probably going to be taxi squatting / cutting some of these guys anyway. So who cares? Like, let's just grab somebody that could have a good landing spot with some upside in a athletic frame that you like.
Cool. We're going to keep fading Katron and Claiborne. Let's go Malachi Fields here.
Yep, Malachi Fields next. I will also pivot away from running back. I shouldn't say pivot. I will not take a running back here. 307 seems like a great time to take the QB3 in this class. I believe in Carson Beck personally. I think he fits kind of that older, more experienced profile that the NFL is starting to favor over some of these young guys that are, Ty Simpson, 15 starts, Anthony Richardson, 12 starts, whatever it was. So I'm going to take Garrett Nussmeier here because I do think he's the QB3 in this class. But if Nussmeier were off the board and I was on the clock here for real, the 307, I would take Beck here. I think that's a place where you could take him. So give me Nussmeier in this position. But I think a quarterback in the second half of this third round, if you are just completely over the wide receivers and the running backs, which you probably should be, I think that's the right pick there.
Okay. Here's where it gets a little bit tricky for me. There are still a couple of wide receivers I like. The challenge is this is where I hope other people take other players so I can I want people to go ADP so I can take my favorite player, but I have to come back down to reality and say there are a couple of dart throws I want to take here. But I think the appropriate pick is probably going Katron Allen just because I have to. So yeah. I'm going to take some medicine and take Katron here. I don't love it, but he is a better player than my super late dart throws that I will pick off of waivers. And I'll mention them if they don't get drafted, and they might not. But it would be a mistake to reach too far for prospects when he's better.
I'm going to take Carson Beck here. I think at the end of it all, it's a super flex league. If you are, looking for a waiver, taxi squad guy that could develop into a backup role. Look, if Carson Beck or Garrett Nussmeier winds up in Pittsburgh, and both have been mocked to Pittsburgh, I see a world where it's a winnable job next season, assuming they don't draft somebody over Will Howard. I do. I see that as a real possibility. So I'm going to take shots on Nussmeier and Beck here late in the third round. I don't have any third round picks. You know me. I just trade them all away. So it's not, but it's the advice I would be giving people if I had the third round picks. This is where I would be targeting some quarterbacks that could be something later in a super flex league. And please take quarterbacks in 27 because that's where they're all going to be. That's where they're all going to be. So.
Okay, so I get to fade Claiborne a little bit because I don't have to anymore now that Katron's off. I get to take one of two guys that I like quite a bit, and just honestly for fun, and I think he's better. I'm going to go with the guys lower in ADP. Give me Jamari Taylor, running back.
Jamari Taylor, here we go.
Yeah, like him quite a bit actually.
Yeah. Jamari Taylor is an interesting prospect. I think Seth McGowan from Kentucky.
Yeah,
he's had his off-field issues, but he's another interesting name. If you hadn't taken Taylor there, I wonder if you would have considered McGowan.
He was in consideration.
I'm personally not going to take him here. I'm going to give it a shot. I know it screams, don't do it. Warning, warning, warning. North Dakota State, brother failed, but I'll take Bryce Lance here and hope that he is the second coming of what his brother was not. Also, I just saw a thing on Instagram last night that actually really irritated me before I went to bed. I shouldn't have done it, but I did it. I forgot that we gave up 3, count them, 1, 2, 3, first-round picks to move up to get him.
Mm.
Oh, it hurts the soul in a draft where
there was a lot of juice.
Do you have Kendall? Have you ever heard of this guy? I don't think you've probably ever heard of him. He's a brand new player to you, probably. But this guy's name is Jameer. I think they call him Jameer Chase. Am I saying that right? Oh, Jamar Chase.
He had a lot of drops in the preseason.
Yeah,
right?
he couldn't catch the football because he couldn't see it because it didn't have the stripes. And so the Niners traded half their damn future when they could have just stick and picked. And oh, that's right, drafted Jamar Chase. Whoopsies.
Well, they got to pay less, you know.
You did pay less. So Kendall, finish us off with Mr. Irrelevant, the 312 here. Who do you want?
All right, man. We could go fun. Kalen Black's kind of fun. I don't dislike that. Jam Miller's kind of fun here too. If I'm really sticking and picking super, super late, though, I'm going to go Max Buzz pick. I'm going to go with the quarterback that I actually like better than a lot of the guys so far. I think he just had a rough season, O-line issues, a bunch of stuff. Maybe something crazy happens and he actually gets back to it.
I know who you're taking.
Yeah, give me Alar, baby.
Yep, just had to look him up because he's buried in ADP.
Like 2000s, I think.
Yeah, I had to find him, but there he is. So it was as you started talking about him, I was like, how do you spell his name?
I had to walk you into that one because it was going to take you a few minutes to get down to him.
I knew I was good. I was literally typing his name in the block here because I was like, I know who you're taking, but I don't dislike Drew Allar. I think he's an interesting player at the last. Look, if you're at the 310, 311, 312, you're basically saying, who do I not want to have to spend fab money on when my draft concludes? That's literally what you're saying, and that's fine. Yep. So let's run through this at lightning speed. In the first round, no surprises. Jeremiah Love, Jordan Tyson, Mekhi Lemon, Carnell Tate, Fernando Mendoza, Casey Concepcion, Omar Cooper, Kenyon Sadiq, Denzel Boston, Eli Stowers, Elijah Surratt, Jadarian Price. At the top of round 2, Ty Simpson, Zachariah Branch, Chris Bell, Jonah Coleman, Emmett Johnson, Mike Washington Jr., Jeremy Bernard, Jacoby Lane, Nicholas Singleton, Chris Brazel, Ted Hurst, Max Clare. At the top of round 3, Skylar Bell, Michael Trigg, Justin Jolie, Antonio Williams, Dejon Stribling, Malachi Fields, Garrett Nussbauer, Katron Allen, Carson Beck. What's Jay Taylor's?
Jamari. It's
Jamari
J
Taylor?
apostrophe Mari. It's Jamari.
Okay, Jamari Taylor, Bryce Lance, and Drew Allar. So let's do a little smoke and fire to wrap the show here. I think that's give the people what they want. I don't need takes on these. Unless you really want to talk through it, we can. But
I'm tired.
These are all pulled, guys. These are all pulled from Bucky Brooks. You know what I mean? This is going to be news that's breaking, rumors from Adam Schefter. This is going to be Peter Schrager. So these are all of, I would say, the biggest names to pay attention to on Thursday night. Obviously, some on Friday. But are you ready, Kendall? Here we go. Smoke or fire? Jeremiah Love at the 103 to the Arizona Cardinals.
Nope. Smoke.
Jeremiah Love at the 104 to the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, it's the easiest way. They don't embarrass themselves. They've made issues before, even if they don't agree with it, or if it's like anti-value perfectly, you still got to take the safe pick, dude. You guys are a joke. You got to take safe.
All of this presumes no trades, by the way. So again, we could, be saying, but this is just strictly draft order as it sits today. I do want you to talk about this one for 10 seconds. You only get 10 seconds because you took 2 minutes. If you don't, I'm going to cut you off. I have an issue with this one because I think it's fire now, which is really pissing me off. Jeremiah Love at the 105 to the Giants.
No, complete smoke. This is a head coach and a regime that wants to have some longevity, and that pick can blow up in a way that completely derails any of the culture they're trying to build. So simply, they need to take more of a value-centric pick that can't explode, and it's all defense at the top of the draft. Anybody who's a football guy, who's have an insider talk with football, I think they're going defense. I think the smoke here, the fire, smoke, whatever you want to do, is intentional misleading.
I hope so. And I'm going to be honest. I have, of all my dynasty teams, I looked today. I needed to look today. I only have one dynasty roster where I have Scattaboo, and he is my RB5. I am very fortunate in that league that I have incredible depth. So it's not the end of the world for me personally because I'm just not overly invested across my portfolio with Scattaboo. But you just said it. It's a coaching staff that wants longevity. Why wouldn't you take Downs and then go take Tyson at 10? Give Dart what he needs. You've got Scattaboo. You've got Malik Neighbors. You just signed your boy, Isaiah Likely. You just traded away sexy Dexy. I
In a defensive draft, you can't wake up and say we went offense at 5 and 10 in a defensive draft. Like, no football guy who calls themselves a football guy is going to do that.
It's a luxury pick, and I get it. And you know what? I'm not sitting here saying Jeremiah Love is not going to help every single team that he's going to go to. But if you're trying to build the best roster, and this is Coach Phil speaking, not football fantasy analyst Phil, I understand that it is a completely better player at running back, Jeremiah Love, than what you have today. It is an upgrade. Let's not sugarcoat it. But it's not like you got a bum. You're not paying Scadaboo shit. He was a 4th-round pick. You're paying him. He pays to come to practice. Jackson Dart has his parking spot with his name on it. They gets to the gate, Scadaboo, and they're like, Mr. Scadaboo, it'll be $5 for your parking today. Don't worry, we validate. Like, that's what happens with a 4th-round pick. But he's good. So it's not a fantasy take. It's a real life, like, do what's best for the football team. Fuck your Scadaboo shares in fantasy. I'm one of the people that Scadaboo could get killed. But at the end of the day, I think it's what's best for the football team. Jeremiah Love to the Commanders.
No, it's a team that even a good running game doesn't save their overall problems, and they need to address the real problems that will linger, and that's a fixable position, so no.
Wild card. Does someone we have not talked about trade up to go get Jeremiah Love?
No, those teams are not wasting the salary capital in the room. You ever had a bunch of meetings that you're in corporate sales? You know, hey guys, this is an expensive meeting. We got 500K people here, a lot of money, right? We got to let's do business. You're not wasting that call on a running back. It's a defensive draft. Yeah. There's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of calls. They're taking that airtime and they're taking that phone call. They're just not talking about a running back.
Agreed. This one seems to be in pen and not pencil at this point. Carnell Tate to the Browns.
More fire than smoke. It's an
Agreed.
Offensive player. They're gonna the top 3 get mixed around a little bit. I do think that it is more than likely that he goes there. It's a I don't say scheme fit. It's easier to solve slot, power slot, figure it out. True X's are harder to find. They need it. They go get it.
I think if the Browns don't trade, that's probably the easiest pick of the first round.
Yeah, it's easy for them.
Other than Mendoza at the Raiders, but that doesn't count. Mendoza's going to the Raiders. I think when the Browns are on the clock at 6, I'm going to be floored if I don't hear Carnell Tate's name called. Mekhi Lemon to the Rams.
More smoke than fire. It's a great fit. It's a good player on a good team that does a lot for them. But I think it's one of those, it's too obvious. But it's obvious in the fantasy brain. I think what's unobvious is the tier list level prospect profile comps from Lemon to the defensive players. I think it's probably a smarter decision to go defense there, knowing that much like in fantasy drafts, the depth at wide receiver is decent in your draft. It's decent in this draft, and they can use different capital and potentially smarter picks down tiering from Lemon to someone else to address that need in a more flexible fashion. I'm not saying it's like not going to happen. It certainly could. I just think it's less likely than I think a lot of the analysts have given it credit for. Taking an offensive player who's not the number 1 at a position at 13 is pretty expensive in a non-blue chip wide receiver draft.
Lemon to the Jets at 16.
It's hard to get past the Jets if he doesn't go to the Rams. I feel like the Rams are still a very legit possibility, maybe 33 to 45%. If I had to throw some random numbers on it, if he doesn't get that, he gets that plus this. So I don't think he falls past that in most outcomes. More fire.
I think Lemon to the Jets is fire at 16. Hot fire.
Yeah.
Tyson in the top 10 after the cleared healthy workout this week at Arizona State.
Buying it. I think it's not a class where it's like Carnell Tate's he's the easy safe pick. But I think almost any NFL talent evaluator knows that dude, Tyson's a different animal, almost a different tier of wide receiver. And I hate saying that because Tate's not a bad wide receiver, but there's legitimate phenom upside there. Only one in the draft, and everything looks pretty good. The downside's starting to fade away by the second. So I think it's a real fire.
Tyson to the Giants at 10. Yes, at 10.
At 10 specifically.
Yeah. Not at 5, at 10.
I'm kind of there. I'm there on it. It's a fun pick. It's spicy. If things work out well, it's hey, if Scadaboo doesn't get injured, our running game is actually really good. And then our wide receiver room is actually kind of disgusting. There's just a lot to like there. I think it makes a lot of sense. The question is, for me, does he make it to 10? I do like the Chiefs at 9. I think there's more fire there too, but by 10, I'm buying it.
Okay, well, that was my next one. Do the Chiefs trade up? Because this has been the noise this week. Do the Chiefs trade all the way up to 3 with the Cardinals? Because that's been the noise.
I think it's more likely the Chiefs trade up for a defensive player than an offensive player. This is a season where they are going to start the season without Patrick Mahomes in my best estimation. So them taking an offensive player is less valuable than you'd think because they're going to be catching passes from Justin Fields in practice and in a real game, more often than you'd like. And I think this is because of that, there is more sense in maybe down tiering than going super aggro with it.
Don't forget, Chiefs have 2 firsts, 9 and 29.
Yeah, exactly. If the Chiefs can get like KC or something at 29, knowing that range, KC, Omar, whatever happens, then
exactly right.
That is a way better pick for them.
You kind of already answered this one, so very quick smoker fire.
So I'm not reading it. I promise. I'm just talking football here.
Giants, 2 offensive guys in the top 10.
0% chance.
Okay, so that is smoke to you. Casey Concepcion is the wide receiver 4 off the board.
Smoke. I think Omar Cooper is going to be the 4. I think Casey will be more valuable for fantasy football, though.
Agreed. If the Browns don't take Tate at 106, do they take Concepcion at 24?
Yeah, I think they actually really like the cultural aspects. There's a lot to like. He's a guy that the fan base, people know that fans like KC and no one likes their wide receiver room. So this is a way to get a player of need that the fans like. And let's be honest, you need to win the fans somehow at some point. There's a lot of things that make that feel
they're wearing bags on their head in Cleveland still. You just said you think Cooper is going to be the wide receiver 4. I do too. Does it change your opinion of Concepcion? Even though you said Concepcion would be better for fantasy, does it change your opinion if he goes to Cleveland versus going to, I don't know, just about anywhere? If Concepcion goes to Miami, is he better for fantasy than if he goes to Cleveland, regardless of if he is the wide receiver 4 or 5?
Like, I want to say yeah, but like Cleveland is going to change as a team so dramatically in a 2-year window. It's easy to predict in a 1-year window, but I think the team has to change at some point outside of, I think they'll have a good defense for probably quite some time, in my opinion. But I think their offensive, whatever that looks like, is probably going to morph rather drastically. So I don't want to say like no, because I don't know what the Browns look like. I just think it's easy to say that Miami, I think, is a team that's always going to put up some points. Their defense won't be good anytime soon, and their division is starting to become an offensive powerhouse pretty quickly. So because of that, I like the Dolphins as a landing spot better, but I don't sleep on the Browns. In a 1-year window, it looks bad, but in 2+, like it's everywhere. The coaching, I think, it got interesting with the Browns, but we'll see.
Denzel Boston should go to the Patriots, but now with the imminent arrival of A.J. Brown, I just think it's fun to have Boston playing in Boston, even though it's Foxborough. Does Denzel Boston go to the Dolphins? Because that has been a popular mock landing spot. Smoker fire.
More smoke because I want someone else to go there, and I think he is a better fit in Buffalo with the big body guy.
So then Boston to the Bills is going to be fire for you because that's the next one.
Yeah, I think that's the more likely fit in my opinion.
Okay, Casey Concepcion to the Bills. That has also been a popular mock draft spot if he doesn't go to Cleveland or Miami.
A lot of skill overlap with what they already have. It's not so much what they need. I think it's the position of need, the wrong player. I think he'd make it work. It'd be a weird draft if the board goes that way. I feel like KC would be a little bit like what happened here. I would still be buying him in fantasy. It just means I think we're getting some wide receivers moved sooner rather than later from the Bills.
Casey Concepcion to the Bills feels like a clear Shakir upgrade.
Yeah,
they already have they like Shakir. So it's like I just don't. That one to me is pure smoke.
That's like fantasy versus guys in the real life. When you're hiring somebody, you don't replace a position you don't need just to piss him off for no reason.
I think this one is smoke because I don't think he's even going to be available when the Bills are on the clock. But early in the draft process, and I looked through a lot of the different mock drafts when I was putting this list together, Omar Cooper Jr. to the Bills.
Yeah, I think that's potentially more likely.
You do? You think there's some fire to that?
I mean, I think it's more likely that Cooper and Casey are just gone before the Bills are up, and
That's
there's
what I
just
think.
way too much need there. And it's like, if the Bills are up and those guys are available, honestly, I think the Bills would be like, the phone's gonna ring, right? Like, somebody, what happened
Yeah.
here?
If we had done this show a week
The Bills
ago,
could move back like 3 picks and just make a great trade there.
yeah, like moving back 3 picks for Keon Coleman and letting Xavier Worthy go, neither of which would have been great for them, by the
I
way.
was gonna say they were fucked either way, basically.
They were fucked either way. Should have gone up but not back, but whatever. If we had done the show a week ago, I would have said this next one was Magma. Now it's cooling off. Jadarian Price to Seattle at 32.
Smoke. Everyone's been going there mostly because they have nothing else to do with it.
Yep.
But when you really think about it, you're like, wait a minute. This is like a what level prospect? Pick a letter of the alphabet that doesn't start with A or B, because that won't make a lick of sense. Okay, you're talking a C tier running back at best in Dynasty overall in the first round.
I think this is the world
because they won a Super Bowl because they're a
need.
bunch of morons, right? Like, that's how they won the Super Bowl, because they can't draft and they make bad decisions for a living, right? Like, no, dude, they won the Super Bowl because they assembled the best roster, and they had holes at certain places, but like, they just had the best roster, and they're not going to fuck up having the best roster with a stupid pick. I don't think they do it.
This is, I think, mocked because of need. Here's where I flip it, because I would have said that this is pure smoke, and now I think it's heating up. Does Seattle trade down? Do they trade out of that last pick of the first round?
Yeah, Magma. I mean, there's other teams that have other players of need. I think that could be a trade out to go ahead and quickly grab Simpson. I think that's probably the trade that I would project there from someone, and that team is not going to have to overpay for that trade to get it done. Seattle's going to be looking for value, and I think Seattle will do the savvy thing and not be over aggressive on ask, and that team will say, they're giving us a good deal, we should probably do it. And I think that's pretty decent.
Well, you nailed the name with the next one. Ty Simpson will be drafted in the first round, either by trade or by just pick on the clock.
It requires a trade, in my opinion, and because of that, I think he falls, because it needs a trade, and I think historically there's less trades than more trades. I see him more in the top 12 picks of the second round than a first-round contract.
I don't think he goes at 16 to the Jets. I think Omar Cooper goes at 16 to the Jets.
Yeah, I agree.
But here's a team. Let me give you a team that I'm staring at right here that I don't think it will happen, but it's possible. And I think when the Steelers and Mike McCarthy are on the clock at 21, you might want to at least stop whatever it is that you're doing and pay attention when the pick is in, because it could be Simpson. Here's where I'm at. I don't see a world, again, where, like you said, trade could happen, and we can't predict a trade. Like, anybody could do whatever they want. But, like, I just don't see a world where he's going inside the top 15, which puts New York, the next quarterback needy team, on at 16. And then let's go through the picks. You ready? 17, the Lions. Goff. 18, the Vikings. Fuck no, they're not making that mistake twice. They've already made that mistake once. Bryce Young, 19. Dak at 20. Steelers, 21. And then it just gets pretty, you've paid your quarterback and you've got it. Herbert, Hurts, Cleveland, maybe at 24. Caleb, Josh Allen, Brock Purdy, CJ Stroud, Patrick Mahomes, Malik Willis, who just got paid, Drake May, and Sam Darnold. He's not going in the first round unless somebody trades, unless he goes at 21. So I see a world where it is for sure a trade and not a pick. And that's the only way I think he goes, is if someone trades back in for him. Let's finish this up. NFL.com's latest mock draft has Jeremiah Love in the first, Jadarian Price in the third round, and no other running backs will be drafted according to their 7-round mock until day 3. So the 4th round and later. Smoke or fire?
Fire.
Agreed.
It just is, man.
I think the NFL hates this running back class.
Well,
all right,
fantasy in the NFL, man, aligned at last.
Kenyon Sadiq to the Carolina Panthers.
What's the Panthers pick?
19, I think. Let me double check. Yep.
Jeez, I'm gonna say smoke because it feels like the NFL loves Sadiq. Someone's gonna take him before 19, I think.
Well, how about the next one on our sheet? Team number 15, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kenyon
Yeah.
Sadiq to the Bucks at 15.
That feels more appropriate, especially since they lost a red zone threat. And despite loving their receiver core, their best red zone wide receiver is actually their third wide receiver, in my opinion, in Tez. Well, no, McMillan's actually a pretty solid red zone threat. I take that back. Either way, Sadiq's just a good fit. I think he's going to go earlier. So, yeah, fire.
This team made a big trade already this offseason, which means they don't have a ton of capital. They don't pick until 62, which puts your tight end 1 at the at the third to last pick of the second round. But Eli Stowers to Sean Payton's Denver Broncos.
Oh, dude, it's literally like my dream spot, dude. It could be so good. I'm pretty, and I even thought like, dude, maybe like the Panthers get stupid and go at 19. I don't know, that would be insane. But no, I fire because it would be such a fun situation. A crowded pass catching room that uncrowds in 27, in my opinion, and it's just beautiful. So I like it. Him as a first rounder, it doesn't feel like he has a first round grade, but man, that RAS score is just insane. And if we like Sadiq because he's physical, like I don't know why we're not talking about the guy who's also a physical freak. His name isn't Sadiq, but he is up there. And I think he has more smarts and more upside. Maybe not more top end upside, but he's a better like NFL mind than Sadiq is.
If Omar Cooper doesn't go to the Jets at 16, I already said it when we were doing the mock draft. I said he goes at 23 to the Eagles.
Yeah.
Let me give you at number 54, before Sean Payton can get him, to replace Dallas Goedert, Eli Stowers to the Eagles at pick 54 in the second round. That is my projection.
That sounds more appropriate, and honestly, I think it's probably a better landing spot because in the post Saquon years, when I don't know what happens at running back, they're probably going to need to be a decent passing team. Yeah, that's fantastic. I like that a lot. Tush Push ends up having some worse issues without a great center, and all of a sudden we got to throw in the red zone again. Like that's phenomenal. So, yeah, there's 2 or 3 landing spots for Stowers that feels really nice. That's one of them. I don't want him to go to the Ravens. That's where I'm like, crap, that's bad.
That's where he's been going a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. So there's some spots, but there's enough good spots to make up for the bad ones.
Last one. At pick 21, the Steelers will select a first-round wide receiver.
Doesn't feel like it after the Pittman trade. They still got a rookie they're not doing anything with. So I think they have so many holes in so many areas, and it's just I hate to say like, hey, they'll make a good decision and say like, who's throwing him the ball? You got a veteran who doesn't want the rookie on the field, who hates rookies in general, who doesn't want to make any new friends. Don't be stupid. Don't go with the wide receiver. Like, you really want to piss off Rodgers before he leaves you? Because that's what will happen if you draft a first-round rookie he doesn't want to throw the ball to. He's going to look at that as like, I got 6 guys in retirement I could have called on a vet minimum, but you draft the rookie. I just culturally, just so many reasons they shouldn't do it, and I don't think they will.
Let's finish this up. I have nothing else, Kendall, unless you have anything that we need to talk about. The first round of the draft starts at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. I'm good. We will be here answering your questions. We will be here talking through anything and everything you need this week. DM us on Sleeper, on Discord. Make sure you like and follow the show. It's a holiday in my house on Thursday, buddy. I'm going to be got my big bowl of popcorn, and I will be planted on my couch just enjoying the first round of the draft. So it's a good time to see you, man. As always, appreciate you being here. For all of us here at the Get Right Fantasy Network, for myself and Kendall, this has been another episode of The Extra Point. Enjoy the first round of the NFL draft on Thursday. Enjoy the entire weekend of the draft. And if you have any last-minute questions before we presume your rookie drafts begin on Sunday, please let us know. We will answer those. But best of luck to all of you in your rookie drafts beginning on Sunday. See y'all soon. We out.
White fantasy is the play. Marking nothing but I tune every Friday. Strategies provide.